over the last couple days, we've been collecting all sorts of great questions from all over the gambit. As usual, if any of these questions are spoilery in your opinion or you just can't answer them, feel free. No big deal. First is from a fellow streamer, Dan's Gaming. And he said, how much will our class and race affect the story and quests in the world? I know it's kind of an open-ended question, but just kind of in your own words, how would you say that would affect it?
I find it quite amazing, actually, how much it does. So I have this. Well, I mean, like there was a run that really I thought it was really amazing is when I played a Gift Druid, and that's because there's a lot of Druid reactivity, a lot of Gift reactivity in certain sections of the game, and it was really very different from the previous run where I had not played as that. So I'm not going to say or claim that for every single permutation you're going to have these big things, but there are ones where you're going to really say, "Oh wow, that is really different because I am." Of this race, or I am of this class. It really lets you, play to the role in a lot of ways. We had a team that's been busy in the last year specifically. We call it the tag reactivity team. So they just went through all of the content and they just said, okay, well, what can we do for each class, each race to augment the feeling that you are that race and class in that specific situation, right? And so they did a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen yet. So I've only really been seeing it in the last couple of months playing through it. And I say, wow, okay, this was really good. This was I felt like a paladin. I felt like a druid. I felt like a sorcerer or a wizard here. And so it's fun. I would say that for the races, there it depends a little bit on which type of race. If you're Dragonborn or you're Gif, or your drow, you will certainly have quite a lot of reactivity. If you're more of the normal races like dwarves and elves, then that's going to be more clustered in the same things. You will still get it. So it's asymmetric, but I think that's normal. But it does. It's not going to happen that you've played as a class or as a race and you have not felt like that had an impact on your gameplay. So that's for sure. There's really a lot of reactivity to class and race.
Cool.
Awesome.
I saw it pop up a ton of times in chat. It might even be in our questions that Co pulled here. People want to know if you can roll for stats. Like that's the number one thing out of the gate is no rolling for stats.
No, it's one of so we wanted to, but we cut it. The only reason we cut it was production reasons. So it's not that we thought it was a bad idea, but I mean, like we've been working on this game for a long time, and at some point we just said, okay, we stopped features and putting it in. That's one of the features that was cut at that time.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. That was definitely, I think, one of the ones that I saw that popped up the most. Co, you got any more? We'll wrap it.
Oh, absolutely. So from Reddit, a gentleman named Grunt5000 actually is planning on doing a big playthrough with his friends. And he's I think kind of new to these games. And he said, will my friends be able to contribute in conversations in co-op mode if they didn't initiate said conversation or interaction?
So the way that you can do that in this game is you can suggest what the others should be saying. So you get the option to suggest which question notes you want the other players to do. But the one that initiates the conversation is the driver of the conversation. So we don't have a big discussion system, dominantly because the number of permutations that would lead to would exploded infinitely. So we actually had that system in there for some time, but it was just not tenable. It was too much. So we did experiment with it. Especially because it's also a cinematic game, right? There are, but that said, there's a lot of moments where you have to make critical choices, and I'm sure if you're going to play it, you're going to have the same thing with your chat, where there's going to be a lot of discussion. And so in critical conversations, the entire party is dragged in, so you're aware of it. In other conversations, you can listen in, so you can always listen in. You can always see when somebody's talking. But in critical conversations, it's going to be like, well, and there's some really critical ones where it's a lot gets decided, and that changes the world tremendously, which can be good and bad for different party members. So you will be able to discuss with one another heavily.
Cool. And
never
just
talk to each other again.
For a little bit of just extra clarification, whoever initiates the conversations, all of the roles and checks in the conversation will be on that character, correct?
Yeah, but the others can contribute. For instance, if Shadowheart has guidance, she can aid in the role by giving a bonus on the guidance. So you get the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Makes
Very
sense.
Yeah,
cool,
you can make the main character more smarter if you have the spell to do it.
Yes.
And I know that.
Yeah.
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 It's correct. You
Um,
can,
Go
Also,
ahead,
just
Cole.
a quick yes or no one. Bread Assassin on Twitter was wondering if you anticipate the game being Steam Deck verified at or at some point shortly after launch.
It's a really good question. We are actually trying. So there was a new version of Proton that came out. Proton Experimental was just like yesterday, I think. So we're working on it. So we're trying to get it there. It might not be there on the day of release, but it's not very far off. So
Awesome.
we're working. We got. Literally was looking at it yesterday.
Cool.
Great.
You were talking with or answering code just now in terms of talking with chat. Is there any plans for, this is a very streamer centric question, any plans for Twitch integration somewhere down the line?
There is.
Oh,
there's Twitch integration. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So,
I was not aware.
That's going to be upgraded and updated on day of live. You can also switch off bear sex if you want. There's a button.
I'll hold you to that.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a category. Like, is that going to be a category on like the new category system? Like excessive bear sex?
No, but realistically, is there also a toggle to only allow bear sex?
Well, that would require the three of you to play druids, pick bear as wild shape, and just stick around in the same area. I mean, pick a corner in the forest and just.
Hey, I'm down if you guys are.
Hey, you know what? We're all adults here.
Sure.
We'll figure something out. Figure something
out.
On a slightly less bear sexy note, Cookie Knight on Twitter was wondering, how will multi-classing affect class-specific dialogue, particularly if you have the same level in multiple classes?
So in the dialogues, you get them all. So if you are a thief, if you're a rogue and you're a wizard, you get the options for rogue, and then you'll get the options for wizards in your dialogue.
Awesome.
So they'll
just options.
Attacks. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You get extra options because you know them both, and that works pretty well actually.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Cool.
So this is a bit of a broader question, and this is one I'm very interested in too. Redditor Arc724 says, I'm very curious about the struggles they went through with 5E's resource attrition and rest systems and translating that into the game.
Yeah, it's we've been a little bit all over the place with that through the entire development, trying stuff out. We settled now on our camp supply system, where supplies is actually the thing that defines whether or not you're going to be able to get fully rested, yes or no. We experimented with, we call them danger zones where you can't rest. So, if you played the original games, there were moments like, oh my God, I can't because I'm in this dungeon. And so it was really a question of resource management. Turns out most playtesters hated it. So we still have a couple of them where it really makes narrative sense, but we had to remove quite a few of them, of these danger zones, because our combats are quite intense. And so they usually come out with like 1 HP after a combat. And so they really need to rest. And if they then have to walk outside of a dungeon to be able to rest, to then go back into the dungeon, that turned out to not be that much fun. So we reduced that. So right now we have a system where you take your camp supplies. You can go camp wherever, unless you're in a danger zone. And if you're in a danger zone, your map is going to be red, so you'll know that you can't rest there. And there's quite a lot of locations, but not as much as we initially planned. Initially, we thought that resource attrition was going to turn out to be a lot of fun, but yeah, it turned out not to be the case.
People don't generally like losing things slowly in video games.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Just real quick, I just had a real quick one. People want to play this on their Steam Deck. Is it optimized? Is it good to go, or what's going on?
Well, that's what he asked before, right? So the Steam Deck, we're going to try.
Did I miss the question?
Totally missed it. It's okay.
It's
all right.
Don't answer,
Look, I got Zeke. I got mine.
Hold on, I'm out.
Zeke, I got mine about Twitch integration. You got yours about the same question. We all get one.
Yeah, we're
all
good.
right? We all get one. We all get one.
Nice night, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. See, Sven liked it. Sven liked my joke.
The friendly ghost
man.
Zeke. Yeah. Friendly ghost Zeke.